God's big plan for the world.
MegaQuest, 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 MegaQuest.
God's big plan for the world.
MegaQuest, 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 MegaQuest.
God's big plan for the world.
MegaQuest, MegaQuest,
God's big plan for the world.
MegaQuest, MegaQuest,
God's big plan for the world.
MegaQuest, MegaQuest, MegaQuest.
Did you know that you are not just a random clump of atoms buzzing around in a meaningless universe, but are actually a vital part of God's big plan for his world? What? You didn't even know that God had a plan? Well, no wonder you're looking so gormless. You can't take part in a plan if you don't know it exists. I'd better tell you about it then. But to do that, I'll have to go back to the very beginning. Once upon a time, there was nothing but God. Nothing had happened before God, and without God, nothing would have happened at all. But God liked the idea of things happening. So the first thing that God made happen was light. Light. It wasn't until the light appeared that you realized it was awfully dark without light, but all of a sudden, there it was. God called the light day. The second thing that God made happen was the sky. Somewhere to put all that light and dark. And next, God pulled together a huge pile of water under the sky, and he called it sea. The space it left behind, he called land. God looked at the sky, and the sea, and the land, and he loved it all. Then came the most exciting bit of all. God spoke to the sea and said the word, life. At that moment, the sea began writhing and wriggling, and little squirmy things appeared. Some of the squirmy things grew so big that they became whales, and others grew so long and stringy that they became octopuses. Many became brightly colored fish, and everything that hadn't shown much progress became plankton. Finally, God looked at the land. He paused for a moment. It felt as if everything waited. Go on then, he said. Let there be life. And there was. God was delighted. But this was just what he wanted. But although the earth had now become positively boisterous, something was still missing for God. I will make one more thing, he said. I will make something that is like me, so that it can enjoy all this with me. So that's what God did. God created a man and a woman in his image. That means that in some ways they were like him. They could love the way that God loved, and they could enjoy things the way that God did. God looked at the man and the woman, and he said to them, "You are the best thing I have made. You can look after my world for me." And after that, God took a rest. The man that God made was called Adam, and the woman was called Eve. The man and the woman had no need of clothes, and as neither of them felt embarrassed, they didn't wear any. God planted a garden for them in a place called Eden. It was very beautiful, and it was filled with fruit trees that Eve and Adam could eat from any time they liked. Now, in the middle of the garden were two trees that were special. One was called the tree of knowing, and the other was called the tree of life itself. The fruit of the tree of life itself was free for the man and the woman to eat. But God made the tree of knowing out of bounds for Adam and Eve. "Don't eat from that tree," said God. "It's not good for you, and in fact, you'll die." So, Adam and Eve trusted God and got on with life in the garden. It was great. There was just enough to do there to keep them occupied, and not enough to make them tired. Then, one day, a snake came into the garden. The snake was God's enemy rather than God's friend, but the man and the woman didn't know that. The snake was actually the devil, but the man and the woman didn't know that either. The snake went up to Eve and began cheerily. "Hiya, Eve. What are you doing?" Just harvesting this fruit tree, said Eve. The fruit on it tastes really good. Does it? Said the snake. That's nice. The fruit on that tree looks good as well. He focused his eyes on the tree of knowing. Does it? Said Eve. I hadn't noticed. God told us not to eat it. Really? Said the snake, with exaggerated charm. I think perhaps this God of yours is a wee bit jealous. God realizes that when you and Adam eat from this tree, you'll know as much as he does. And he doesn't want that, does he? Come over here and take a closer look. That business about dying is just nonsense. Eve opened her eyes wide. It had never occurred to her to doubt God before. Go on, Eve, said the snake. Look at how good it is. Are you really going to trust God more than you trust your own eyes? Eve took the fruit. It was soft. God probably didn't mean it when he said we'd die, she thought to herself. She squeezed the fruit. It was juicy. He was exaggerating to stop us from doing what we really want. Eve put the fruit to her lips and took a large bite. Adam came up. Looks like there's been a change in the weather, Eve, he said. There's a storm coming in from the east. Eat some of this, Adam, said Eve, handing him the fruit. You'll need all the help you can get if there's a storm. Didn't God say that we shouldn't? Asked Adam. He looked at Eve with a puzzled expression on his face. Eve laughed. What do you think, Adam? She said. I'm eating it, and I'm all right. Eve's eyes were slightly mocking. Adam ate the fruit. That very moment, the storm broke. The heavens opened, and it poured down rain. The skies flashed silver, and there was a great crack of thunder overhead. But Adam and Eve weren't worried about the rain and the storm. For the first time in their lives, they were worried about the way that they looked. We're naked, they said to each other. Oh, don't we look stupid? What shall we do when God comes? And at that very moment, they heard God's footsteps in the garden. Instead of running out to meet him, as they'd always done before, Adam and Eve ran into the bushes. They knew that something awful had happened, but they couldn't quite put their finger on what it was. God spoke, and the storm went silent. Adam, Eve, where are you? Why are you hiding from me? We're naked, called Adam. And we look silly, called Eve. Who told you that you were naked? Said God. Then after a minute, he said, What have you done? What have you done? His voice sounded odd, deeper than ever before. They couldn't tell whether it was because he was angry or because he was sad. Leave my garden, said God at last. You are not fit to live here any longer. You have eaten from the tree of knowing, and you think you know yourselves, but you have shown that you do not know me. If you did, you would have trusted me. You will spoil my garden if you stay. Besides which, he added, next to the tree of knowing stands the tree of life itself. I was happy to let you eat of that once, but I can't do so now. You are too broken to go on forever. Now, I must let you die when you are old, which makes me very sad. Well, this made Adam and Eve very sad too. But they didn't really know what had gone wrong. They just knew that somehow they had gone wrong when they hadn't trusted God. And everything was spoiled. So, they left their lovely garden Adam and Eve didn't feel close to God anymore. In fact, they felt very alone. And God even put an angel on the gate to keep them from ever coming back. But as God watched Adam and Eve walk out from the garden, something in his heart was shattered. "You may not feel close to me anymore," he said to himself, "but I will always be close to you, because I love you. And I will find a way to bring you back to me again. I will find a way to bring you back," said God, "if it costs me everything I have."